You're really cheap, huh, Catherine? Cheap, you say?
Exactly. You even use such words like wasteful, which is what poor people would say.
Everything you wear are just cheap-looking clothes, and you have no taste.
Your face screams poverty in general.
But my company is a construction firm. I don't think I need to be that fashionable. The neighbors are watching, aren't they? It's embarrassing if they say the bride of the Joneses' house is ugly and unfashionable. I am Catherine Jones, and I'm 32 years old. 2 years after getting married, I hear such words from my in-laws almost every day. After marriage, I live with my in-laws, who are all spenders. My husband, on the other hand, is a type who saves money diligently, so I was somewhat surprised at his parents' way of spending their money. I continue to work after marriage. I work at a construction company started by my grandfather, and I was raised with my grandfather's teaching of modesty and frugality since I was a child. My mother passed away when I was in the 4th grade of elementary school, but both my grandfather and my father took care of me as much as they could. I was sad and heartbroken that my mother was gone, but the kindness of my grandfather and father comforted me a lot, so I tried my best with house chores for them. When I tried various things and saved money, my grandfather praised me a lot. The company is small and there aren't many employees, but everyone gets along like a family, and they always cared about me. My grandfather also passed away before I graduated from high school, and I started working at my father's construction firm right after graduating from high school to help him as much as possible.
I can't believe Catherine is old enough to join the company. Having her as our boss is reassuring, isn't it?
Everyone welcomed me with such words. I met my husband, Brian, who worked for a construction company. He began to request work from our company a few years after I started working at our company. He said things like how he likes to save money, so he got along well with me, who was used to saving money. About 10 years after I started working, my father got sick and passed away. My father, who was my only relative, went to heaven, and I was so devastated. But Brian comforted me in various ways, and I gradually started to rely on him, and we got married after dating for 2 years. After marriage, it was decided that we live with Brian's parents at his parents' house. But for me, who had no relatives, I was rather happy to live a lively life with his family, and I gladly agreed. But I don't really have the thoughts of buying new things as soon as I want them, like my in-laws do. I was somewhat surprised by the brand new electrical appliances in my in-laws' house, right after moving in with them. But the house we live in is quite old. I thought that if the in-laws didn't spend too much on other things that are really unnecessary, they could have been able to buy a house a long time ago. But I didn't say such a thing because I thought it would cause conflict. And shortly after we got married, the fact that I said, "Isn't it a waste?" to their act of throwing away and replacing things without hesitation because new products were released seems to have offended my in-laws. Since then, I have been told that I am stingy and poor. Recently, even words such as ugly and unfashionable have been added to the list. My father-in-law works for a major company and seems to earn quite a bit of money. So he said that he had a life that had nothing to do with saving money like me. I thought you were a celebrity because you said you were a CEO's daughter, but you're just the daughter of a humble subcontractor. You're so poor.
Yeah, both my son and I work for major companies, but he married such a poor person who only graduated from high school.
I'm told such terrible things like that by my in-laws. Even when Brian hears such words, my husband doesn't say anything to his parents. On the contrary, he told me,
"It's because you say unnecessary things. It's arrogant for a wife to have an opinion about her husband's parents."
My husband is not interested in what his parents do. He always says,
"We have decided not to interfere with each other."
I didn't intend to express my opinion, but I thought I might have said something unnecessary when I saw them frowning. but I never thought I would end up being told such things over and over again. I got married when I was 30, so I was hoping to have kids as soon as possible. However, my husband didn't seem to feel the same way and wasn't very cooperative. You can't really force these things, and I think it's best to let things happen naturally. So, I haven't said anything to him. Besides, our company is getting quite busy as our employees are working hard. Everyone is working hard to support me, so I want to meet up to their expectations. In the midst of all this, my in-laws asked for a loan.
Catherine, could you lend us some money?
Excuse me?
We overspent a little this month and we're short on funds. We'll pay you back once our payday comes.
This sort of thing started happening more and more often, and I couldn't just rudely refuse. So I helped them out a little, but gradually the amount increased, and the repayment started to have some delays.
It's only natural to help each other out as a family.
When I asked for them to start paying back little by little, that's what my mother-in-law said to me. Out of desperation, I consulted my husband.
I see. I'm sorry for the trouble. I'll work more overtime and let's work hard together,
he said.
After we get through this, I also want to start thinking about the future, seriously.
The future?
I want to have kids and buy a house for us to live in separately from my parents.
What? I was a little surprised that my husband was thinking about such things, but I was really happy. So I decided to try a little harder. However, things didn't go that easily. After a while, my husband said that his parents were on the verge of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy?
Yeah, they're really in trouble. I used up all my savings to pay off their debts, but it's still not enough.
That much?
They're crying, saying if they go bankrupt, they will lose their position if it gets leaked to the company. So I need your help.
You need my help?
Can you pay off the rest of their debt for now?
What?
Please, you have some savings, right? I mean, your father left you a little money, didn't he?
Yes, but that's supposed to be for our future. I don't want to use what my father left me for my in-laws' debts, especially since they have been bullying me for being poor. I also resist the idea of spending all the money I've been saving since before we got married. But wouldn't your parents feel uncomfortable if I gave them the money?
I'll persuade them. If it's in the form of a loan, I think they'll be okay with it.
Even if it's called a loan, in reality...
Right. Let's have them sign an IOU. It's just a loan.
But are there any possibilities that they'd actually pay it all back?
My father will be retiring in 2 years. He'll get a retirement bonus, so we can get him to pay it back with that.
Will your parents agree to that?
I'll take responsibility for getting them to agree and make a promise to repay with the retirement bonus. Once this matter is settled, we're leaving this house. I can't stand being with my parents anymore.
All right, if you insist. With the hope of living with my husband in our own home, I used all my savings to pay off my in-laws' debt.
Thank you, Catherine.
It was somewhat pleasing to hear such words from my mother-in-law's mouth, who had never said thank you to me before. I didn't give it away. I got a signed IOU, so they'll pay me back eventually. My husband said the same, and I thought that if we could live alone without any trouble from my in-laws, it was a good result. But the next month, my husband suddenly changed his tune and started saying things I never expected.
Thanks to you, Catherine. It would have been embarrassing for me if my folks had gone bankrupt.
Indeed. It's all thanks to you, Catherine.
I'm glad I could help. I was happy to see everyone else happy, but the next words my husband threw at me left me in disbelief.
You know, I used my savings to build a house. Well, I took out a loan too.
What?
Thanks to you, we can move without any worries.
Wait a minute. Didn't you use your savings to pay off your parents' debts?
No way. There's no way I could use my hard-earned savings for something like that.
I wanted to argue, saying so it was okay to use my money that I've been saving little by little. And part of that money was left by my father too. My husband said he'd put all his savings in, so I did too. But you said...
Of course I did. If I said to keep my savings and use yours, you wouldn't have used your money, right?
You deceived me?
Come on, it doesn't matter now. Everything has settled down perfectly. So I'll be living in the new house with my lover, whom I'll remarry to, and I'll leave you here for you to take care of my parents.
I couldn't understand my husband's words, and my mind went blank. What did my husband just say? That thought was spinning in my head. His lover? What? My husband is still my husband, and we haven't divorced yet. I don't understand what he meant by remarrying to his lover. What do you mean by that? I don't really understand what you're saying.
What? Why not? I'm speaking so clearly. Are you dumb?
What do you mean by remarriage? We're not even divorced yet. Plus, I used my savings to help your parents.
I know. That's why I'm grateful. That's why my parents agreed to live with you from now on. This means I can enjoy my new marriage life.
So, you've been cheating on me all this time?
That's not a nice way to put it. I plan to get married properly, so it's a serious relationship.
What are you talking about? You're married to me.
Well, that's all in the past now.
You mean we're getting a divorce?
Otherwise, I can't get remarried, can I? But don't worry.
About what?
You can continue living here. Get along with my folks for a long time, so you'll be the one paying the rent for this place.
Seeing him say this so happily, he didn't seem like the husband I knew, but rather a different person. And my in-laws didn't object to what he had to say.
So, I'm counting on you, Catherine.
Huh?
After all, his girlfriend is apparently still 20 years old. It'd be frustrating living with someone so young. That's why you can stay here.
Stay here?
Our bodies are starting to wear out. It's comforting to have someone at home who can look after us.
Yes. And we want you to do the housework too.
My in-laws, who not only agreed with my husband but also bluntly asked me, his wife, in which we might be getting divorced, to take care of them, left me completely speechless. They probably already knew about Brian's affair.
So, I'm going to pack up and get ready to move out. I'll pick up the divorce papers later. All you have to do is sign them.
Brian said that and left the room. I was in shock for a while. My husband is remarrying his lover, and I'm supposed to live here with his parents. The reality that my husband revealed was overwhelming, and it felt as if it was pressing down on my heart. Having always believed in my husband and his words, I was truly in shock. I felt empty, wondering what all my hard work up until now had been for. I hated myself for being so stupid as to offer up my savings for this. I was disgusted with myself for blindly trusting and not noticing my husband's scheme. After a while, my husband returned, presenting the divorce papers with his signature right in front of me, who was still in a daze. And to top it off, his parents also looked happy as Brian held the divorce papers proudly. For a while, I blankly stared at the paper, but gradually anger began to rise within me. Why do I have to be subjected to such treatment? And why am I being treated so unfairly? As I was looking at the divorce papers, my heart gradually cooled down.
You've been a good help to me. That's what being a wife is all about. But your role ends today. Actually, my father has already quit his job and spent all his retirement money.
Huh? But he was going out every day, wasn't he?
He was going to casino, it seems. What a mess, huh? So from now on, you'll be taking care of my folks.
He said so, smirking at me. Does he truly think that I would silently comply with whatever he says? If he genuinely thinks so, he must be out of his mind. I thought to myself, if I continue to deal with such a crazy guy like him, I might go crazy. I was watching my husband's face, who was delightedly looking down on me while trying to organize my thoughts. Then I realized something. I decided to firmly teach him and his family that things won't go the way they want. Understood? Well then, everyone, please prepare for the welfare, okay? Saying so, I signed the divorce papers and stood up.
Huh?
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 I guess it seemed that they didn't understand the meaning of my words. The eyes of my husband and my in-laws were wide, being in shock. But my husband quickly regained his smile and opened his mouth.
What are you talking about? Have you lost your mind, or are you just bluffing?
The one who's lost their mind is you. What kind of thinking is that? Why would you think that I would take care of your parents after we're divorced?
But you have no savings left, and no place to go, right? You were happy when you married me and got a new family, weren't you? I thought it would be too cruel to take everything away from you, so I was thinking of gifting you my parents.
I'll return that gift, thank you. And I'll be claiming back the money I've put in as well.
Huh? There's no way that exists. You know full well that all of it was used for their debt. My parents have spent all the money and not a single dollar is left.
I'm curious to see how Brian's brain works when he can boast about the fact that his own parents have spent money so recklessly. Oh dear. How unfortunate. That means you'll have to rely even more on welfare.
No way. All the debts have been paid off with your money.
But there is an IOU, isn't there?
That's just a formality. Besides, there's no set repayment date, which means it's up to me when to repay it. In other words, I don't have to pay it back.
Are you an idiot? Whether it's just a formality or not, it's still an IOU. If there's no set repayment date, that means the lender can ask for the person who borrowed the money to repay it at any time.
Huh?
Brian's face changed drastically. He seemed to think that an IOU without a repayment deadline meant he didn't have to repay any of it back. It's shocking considering he works for a major company.
Fine. Then I'll make my parents file for bankruptcy. That would exempt them from the obligation to pay.
Huh? Brian seems determined to resist until the end, but he seems to have forgotten something crucial. Well, if they file for bankruptcy, your parents won't have to pay, but you will still have to. The fact is, Brian was the one who signed the IOU as his parents' guarantor, and it was all his idea. He may have thought he wouldn't actually have to pay, and it was just a performance to convince me, but such excuses won't work. Looking at it now, I am thankful for his stupidity. When I informed him of this, he made a face as if he had just realized it. It's really thanks to you. Now I don't have to suffer in silence. At my words, now it was his turn to be in shock. To add insult to his wound, his parents were yelling at him, saying they didn't want to file for bankruptcy. He, in return, was shouting back at them. They are all only thinking about themselves. Seeing them like this, there's no way I want to be a part of this family. So, I left the house, leaving them behind. I have no regrets about leaving them at all. On my way home, I stopped by and submitted the divorce papers that I had just signed. My parents' house had been vacant since my father passed away, but it was left as it was. Brian often said that we should sell the house, but I never felt like doing that. And I'm glad I didn't. I hired a lawyer and requested my ex-husband and his family to settle the debt. Then, I got a frantic call from my ex-husband.
What the hell is this? I don't know anything about this debt.
But you signed it yourself, didn't you?
I'm not the one who borrowed it.
If the borrower can't repay, the guarantor does. That's what a guarantor is for, isn't it?
I don't have that kind of money. I just bought a house.
Then, do you want to file for bankruptcy? It might get you out of paying, but you'll lose everything you've got, including the house you just bought, the car you like so much, and your precious savings. You can't file for bankruptcy if you have those assets. Plus, you won't be able to get a credit card for a while. When I said that, he came up with another unbelievable idea. Upon hearing that, I was reaffirmed that this man is indeed crazy.
I get how you feel. If you say so, there's no choice for this. I'll get back together with you.
Excuse me?
You're picking a fight with me because you want to get back together, right? I'm not heartless. If you feel that way, then I'll marry you again. Then all of our debts will be cleared, right?
This time, I was really at a loss for words. I wondered if this is what they call true positivity, a concept I didn't quite understand myself. No way, that's not it. Why did I ever envision a future with a guy like him? After my father passed away, I was fully occupied mentally with taking over the construction company that I wonder if my thinking ability was also shut down because of that. But I decided to share one more piece of information since he made the effort to contact me. Oh, by the way, I think you'll get a call from my lawyer. In addition to the money you owe me, I'm also demanding property division.
What?
You have a girlfriend you plan to marry, right? Since she was there before our divorce, it's confirmed you were cheating. Of course, I'm demanding compensation from her too.
Are you still trying to milk me for money? You're so greedy.
Say whatever you want. I won't be defeated by your words. Goodbye. Since my ex-husband didn't respond, I hung up and called my lawyer and asked him to make sure all future communication with my ex-husband and his family went through him. I still have to receive property division, but all the debts have been paid off. My ex-husband ended up selling the house he bought to pay off the debts, but the balance of the loan remained. His lover, who he was supposed to marry, lost her house, was furious at being sued for compensation by me, and ended up spending all the money up to the limit of my ex-husband's credit card and left him. My ex-husband got into more debt, tried to cling on to my lawyer about it, but was turned down. But after that, he started stalking his ex-lover and got arrested, was what my lawyer told me. Naturally, he lost his job, and probably because he lost his mind, he came to my lawyer's office with his whole family to file for bankruptcy. My lawyer said he handled the procedures properly with a smile. But with the cost of the procedure, my ex-husband's family became penniless, and now the three of them are living in a small, dark apartment, working from morning till night and living a poor, sad life. It seems that they have applied for welfare, but it seems that they were denied because it's unacceptable for 3 healthy adults to receive money without working, since compensation is not exempted even if you declare for bankruptcy. They have no choice but to just work hard. Now I live in a house that has been renovated, and I am working hard again. Everyone at the company is caring for me after my divorce, helping me in various ways, and I plan to value my employees and continue to work hard while saving money.